Welcome to the Gamers Inn. Come on in, pull up a chair next to the fire. It looks like you've had a long journey. I'm your host, Jocelyn, and joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Hello. I'm here. I'm ready. It feels, this week's been very weird. It does not feel like it's been a week.
I know. I feel like I just talked to you.
Yeah. No, okay. No, that's a valid point. I think I felt the same way. It's like Jocelyn and I were just hanging out, and I think it's because we had the wonderful game night last week, and we played
that's true.
Smite Cart, which we always forget to put this in the notes. Like, we both played a very unique, and some would say half-broken game.
That's
not
true.
6 days ago.
Yeah, so Smite is now kind of joining all of these games that are offering these like weird, totally unbalanced, different kind of game modes. And so last week for Gamers In Game Night, which we do, you can go to patreon.com/thegamersin to support the show. That is why we are doing a game night once a month. It is the third Thursday, because that's super easy for me to say. Thanks, Ryan. The third Thursday of every month.
That's how you remember. Come on. Which is more important.
Exactly. The third Thursday of every month, we do a game night, and so the patrons chose Smite Kart, which is basically like Mario Kart, but using Smite gods and Smite-type powers.
Now, there is a huge difference. Now, I had fun, so I don't want anyone to come around and say, like, Ryan's a party pooper. You guys, this is for the patrons. This isn't about whether this is a solid Mario Kart clone or not. But, you know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe comes out in like a day, 2 days, depending on when you're listening to this. It might already be out.
Oh, does it really? Oh, that's so good. I have something to play on my Switch again. That's very exciting.
You know what? I was this close. I when I bought the Switch, I had taken a bunch of games into EV and turned them all into fake EB dollars. So I went to the store and I was thinking, you know what? I think I might pick up this Puyo Puyo Tetris game that came out for the Switch, because I feel like Tetris is a solid game to have on a portable system.
Fair enough.
There is a demo available, and it's very Japanese, but very interestingly, it's very cool. It's like a mix between Tetris and this game that probably we haven't played because it's a Japanese game. Anyways, yeah, and then I thought, well, you know what? I'm not going to pick that up. I'm way too busy with other games that we're going to talk about, and I'll just wait for Mario Kart. So, so Mario Kart. We'll finally have something to play.
That is so exciting. I don't feel like I've wasted a ton of money on this system that's just sitting there doing nothing. It's not even in our like living space anymore. It's upstairs because I gave it to my roommates. I was just like, well, I don't need this. Here.
Wow. Well, you know, it's as long as he doesn't break it, it's an investment. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And as long as the price doesn't go down. If they do, I don't think there'll be a price cut because you literally can't find these in stores yet. So I think we're safe. You got in on the ground floor, man. That's how you know you're cool.
Oh, that's true. I feel very, very cool right now. I would feel even cooler if I could still like fan myself with my hundreds of dollars, but you know, whatever.
As cash in hand. When was the last? I never have more than $20. It always disappears in a coffee.
Well, that's a pretty shitty fan then, Ryan. You should take out more dollars so you have a better fan. Anyways, that's a total
stack for your fan. Use credit cards, man. It's not gonna hurt.
Oh, total tangent. But yeah, so we played Smite Cart, which was really, really fun. We had a great time. You guys can check out the VOD over on twitch.tv/JossPlays if you want to see all of the shenanigans that were had on Thursday night. It was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
Other than that, I feel like I was going to talk about something else, and now I've totally forgotten before we jump into what we've been playing. But, whatever. Couldn't have been important. It's gone now. Right out. In one ear, out the other. Whatever.
Oh,
cold medicine, guys. Oh, sorry. What?
I thought of something. So,
okay.
If you follow me on Twitter, which you should be, because why aren't you?
Which is twitter.com/rmurphy.
Yeah, so I posted something, a little bit, not teaser, it's a full-on announcement. So Ashley's pregnant, August 17. I did a really cool Super Mario World. My mom doesn't understand what's happening. Mainly because she does. I should
Did she at least credit. Was she at least able to look on like the far right side of the image and understand that was a sonogram, so it was a baby announcement? Did she at least get that?
She knew. Okay. Yeah, she got that. I think the joke I was making is that it's like, why'd you put this on Facebook? I had to email it to her. And have Facebook. I say, you know what? I post a bunch of photos of Caden. Why don't you just like me on Facebook? It's like, I don't even have Facebook.
Your mom doesn't even like you on Facebook?
No, because she doesn't have Facebook.
Sure.
Okay.
She's probably like going by like her maiden name or something so that you won't be able to find her easily.
Maybe. I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to go check. No, yeah. So we put an announcement up there. It's Super Mario World themed. I had to. That's the reason it took so long. We could have announced it like 3 weeks ago, but I've been so busy and I wanted to put something together that was geeky and fun. And yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. And I'm probably gonna have a lot of fun come August 2017 when there'll be another one. Well, he won't.
He won't be. Yeah, won't be running around.
Baby will not be running around. That wasn't a slip. We're not finding out, just like the last one. So.
Oh, that's fun. That's
Yeah, it is, because I just think it's, it adds to the experience. You never know what you're gonna get. It's like not at all like a box of chocolates, but anyways, yeah. So that's
so.
fun.
Congratulations to Ryan and Ashley, and we look forward to meeting little baby Murphy number 2 come August 2017. So yeah, there is no easy way to segue from babies into video games, so I'm just gonna do it. Mass Effect Andromeda, we both played this week. So I think we are, huh?
There's a baby mission in that. You haven't
Is
got
there?
there yet?
No, I have not. Like a go have a baby mission?
Well, okay. So, this isn't a spoiler, but in Andromeda, you are bringing the human race 600 light years away from the Milky Way galaxy.
Right.
Therefore, there's going to be an initiative to
repopulate. I understand.
To address that in the game in a couple of different scenarios that are both funny and a little annoying. But still, pregnant, babies happen in Andromeda.
I see. Well, no, I've not gotten to the baby mission in Mass Effect Andromeda. I did, however, go back to the game and play probably 5 to 7-ish hours of it. So I got to the point where I've cleared the second planet now. And so there's something that I kind of wanted to ask you. So I got to, and you don't have to do the planets in any specific order, so I don't want to say too much, but I went to the ice planet, so I did Vold. And I found that it took a really long time for the game to kind of get going. But then when you find your first non-hostile Andromeda alien species, the game really picks up and gets super interesting. And I was like, oh my god, why did they hide this behind 10 hours of content? Like, why did it take me so freaking long to get here? Because, like, I was just... Man, it was a slog to get to that point for me in Mass Effect Andromeda. I was just like, oh my god, like, when is something interesting gonna happen? Like, there was so much that was just like... it was a total and complete slog for me. I just couldn't get into it. The story was so slow. There was nothing really going on. Everything was dark because, when you arrive, you have to do all the settling. There's nothing there really. And the only things that you see are broken or shooting at you. So there wasn't a whole lot to kind of pull you in. But then you meet this alien species and it just like goes boom, 0 to 60 really fast. And it's good now. But so I got to the kind of like you meet the species and then they give you an option to go to kind of one of 2 planets. So the planet that I chose was the ice world. I don't think I knew it was the ice world going in. But so I chose that planet and then I started to do things on the planet and I got it to 100% viable before I'd actually finished the story of the planet. Mm-hmm. And I found that very confusing. So can you just tell me a little bit about like how viability works? Because like to me, a planet is not ready to be settled while there's still a gigantic hostile alien base in the middle of it.
It's kind of, you know what? It's an arbitrary number. Doesn't mean a thing. Once it hits 100%, it doesn't go down. It just stays there. You can hit 100% without doing everything. I think the way they
because I thought it was like a % completion for each planet or something. Like that's how I knew that I'd found all the quests. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I still have like 10 things to do on this planet and I'm 100% viable. And that doesn't make any sense.
If you don't, so the suggestion I saw going out there was if you don't have a settlement on each planet that you can settle before doing the final mission, go do that first. And usually what that does is it brings every planet that you settle on to about 80%. and that's just doing the main stuff. But if you're like tripping over objectives, you're gonna end up getting it to 100%. And really, what it is, maybe at one point the game had more, meta game in there to deal with the vitality or whatever number, but it is strictly just a number. Doesn't mean anything, doesn't change anything. There certain planets do require a specific number to be able to settle there, but it's so low. It's like 40%. I mean, we're just like aiming like to bottom of the barrel here. Like,
well, that's kind of
last stand in the galaxy. 40% will be fine.
I feel like the first planet that I did, I only got it to 70 or 75% viable. And you're right. It was available for me to put a settlement on at like 30%, and this planet was like radioactive. I'm like, really? We're okay with 70% radioactive and 30% viable. That's all right for us to go settle. Like, it seems like this weird mechanic that doesn't really make any sense or really impact anything, and there's no consistency or anything else. So that was the mechanic that really confused me. And the other thing that I didn't like, now that I've had like a full planet experience, was questing is really freaking weird, because it's like everything is open and available to you all of the time, or at least it was on that planet. So I found I got lost about like who was who and where I was going and what the situation was really, really quickly. Even to the point where I had these big choices, and it says like, okay, are you going to do A thing or B thing, where like A thing was stay and essentially keep doing what you're doing, and B thing was like go somewhere else and do something else. And I chose B thing. I'm like, I want to do that thing before I do this other thing. So it's this big, like, two big, huge choices on your screen. You pick one or the other. So then I picked the one I wanted to do. I went to the location and nothing happened, and there were no quests there, and there was nothing to interact with. And I was kind of like, all right, I'm in the right place. Like, I'm at the location that I'm supposed to be. This is where I said I was going to go, and I was going to do a thing when I got here. But there's nothing to do. So I was really, really confused. I was really confused.
Yeah, so when you open up the map, on the right corner, there's these like hexagons layered. And if you use the D-pad up and down, you can switch between them. And sometimes that's where your objective is. And depending on the planet, that can be a building or a cave.
This planet had a lot of ice caves, and it was there were quite a lot of times where I was like, I don't understand where I'm supposed to be. And you're right, it was a like a vertical thing, but this didn't seem to be. So I'm gonna put a slight spoiler tag on this because I want to be a little bit more explicit. So a little bit of a spoiler here, guys. Maybe jump ahead 3 minutes if you don't want to hear absolutely anything about it. I promise it doesn't spoil any big Mass Effect story because I'm not there yet, but. So basically, I got like halfway through the planet, and then you're fighting with resistance fighters. And so like the main resistance fighter chick says, do you want to remain here and keep fighting with us and basically keep going on the main storyline? Or do you want to go and resupply Tech-Chicks or Tech-Chicks or some weird Angoran name, right? So I said, I want to go and resupply this outpost. And she said, okay, fine. Yep. Head there. Go ahead. And then so I went there, and then it's like every time I got near the city, it kept like pinging me to like resupply, but I had nothing to interact with to resupply. I did all the quests in the outpost. I did everything. I was like, WTF is even going on right now? So I don't know if I like missed some big like. But it, like I say, I didn't have a quest for it. I did everything that was available to me in that location. Like, I couldn't figure it out. I got, like I said, the planet to 100% viable, and I couldn't figure it out. And it was one of these big, like, are you going to do A or B? These big, huge choices on my screen that felt like it should really impact the story. And I couldn't figure out how the heck to do it, so I just left.
Weird. Yeah, I'm not sure. That ice planet I remember being not very interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on, but there's not a lot of interesting stuff. There's a couple cat bases that you would go to and take out. There's actually a huge mission with little to no fanfare on that. And this seems to be one of my biggest, nitpicky details about the game is that what should be this big to do is just kind of a little bit of scripted dialogue, no cinematics, no just waves of enemies, and it's like this is a giant cat base on the home planet of the Ungaran, and you're just wiping dudes through and just nothing. Like, it's like, okay, guys, I guess I just saved your planet.
Exactly.
Let me, and the game it's nice because the game kind of treats some of these things. So that was a negative, but then a positive is like the game, that planet, the frozen planet, it was frozen over, so it wasn't always like that. So when you fix the vaults, I know a lot of people are thinking, well, if you turn the vault on, then I should come out and everything should be completely changed and positive. It's like, no, it's like a slight little difference. And with the ice planet, it's nice because you do see some melting, and the temperature does go up, but it's not like instantaneous that all of a sudden, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful home.
It's now like a tropical like oasis or something. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, I appreciate those little details, even though the opposite of that would have been a lot of work, and people might want to see that. But I'm looking forward to the possibilities of a sequel that basically treats, you settled everything, you got the vault started, as canon, and because you can beat the game without doing some of those, from my understanding. But why would you? I mean, it wouldn't be a very good Pathfinder if you didn't
make the planets viable.
Yeah, so there are like interesting things like that, but I agree there are some like weird just hitches of I had one quest that was literally my log for the longest time, and it would say like, go talk to the producer, and I'm like, okay, where's the producer? And I looked it up. It's like, yeah, this quest is bugged. And I think last week, it's like, great, it's bugged.
Thanks, yeah.
So I guess I just have to wait. And last week I talked about a quest, I think maybe during game night. It was a major allies quest, and it said it was completed, but there was no next step. And clearly online, it's like, you need to finish this mission before you do the final mission, because it's kind of important. And I'm like, all right, well, I looked up online, I found the last step that I had completed, and I went there, and it's all of a sudden it reset it, and it's like, oh, you have to do it again now. I'm like, and then it finally finished itself, and that, which was nice, but it's kind of like, I just wish they had done a little bit more polish on some of these major quests. If the deliver these three crates quest fails, that's fine, I don't care. But when it's a major allies and relationships quest that doesn't work out, that's a little frustrating.
Yeah.
And I feel like BioWare has kind of had issues like that with their last two releases, whereas maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I feel like the Mass Effect trilogy didn't have those big issues.
The one that I played on release, to the point that I finished it before they patched it with a new ending, was Mass Effect 3. And I played it that much because it didn't have issues like that. I didn't run into anything that was, game breaking or, like would make me miss out on big things. I think I had all of, if not close to all of my followers, like, did all their loyalty stuff or whatever it was called in Mass Effect 3. And, like, I did all those missions and helped them all out one way or another, and then went and did the final mission. Like, I don't remember ever having something big block me. It was just like, I went all the way through, I finished it, it was a great game, loved it, even before they patched the ending. I know there's probably people out there going, "Arr!" But I thought it was fine. And so I don't remember stuff like that happening. So I think you're right. I think it's a more recent issue for the company.
Which is unfortunate, because I finished the game over the weekend, and I was really happy with the overall product as a complete package, because I felt like the story was interesting and the characters really grew into themselves. Like, I didn't really hate any of the characters, and usually in Mass Effect there's
at least one,
that you really don't like. And I'm gonna out myself here. I'm not much of a fan of Krogans. I kind of killed the Krogan in Mass Effect 1. I believe his name was Krogan McKroganface.
That was Rex, wasn't it?
Sure, that guy. Dinosaur face. I killed him. Ashley was yelling at him, and I said, well, you know what? Space racism, I can't deal with this. And I guess I probably picked the wrong choice if that's my reasoning. But then I paid her back. I didn't leave her on the planet. I killed the other guy.
You didn't. You killed Caden.
Yeah. It sounded really terrible. Anyways, no, I'm not a big fan of Krogan, but Drac in Andromeda, he's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Like an old war grizzled guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now everyone in the chat room is just
Yeah, everyone's just going crazy now.
I killed Rex, and you know what the crazy thing is about killing Rex in that game is that it serves no purpose. Like you could have you called his you didn't call his bluff. You know, I think he was charging you or something, or he's getting really angry at Ashley, and you're like, I can't deal with this anymore. I got to put you down, man. Like he was a pet or something.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I remember thinking it was a really obvious choice not to. So the fact that you just like, because first you just like shoot him in the face. Like,
yeah,
it's brutal.
But, and you know, I enjoy all the characters, not equally, but I at least enjoy all of them. They're all really good, and I think it's mostly because of the loyalty missions they put in this game really shine a light on the character's best qualities. Like Liam, who I don't know, he's kind of boring. I don't really like him. But then you do his loyalty mission, and it's like, okay, you're still a bit incompetent, but you're still like a cute incompetent that I kind of want to hang around with, but also have backup just in case you do something stupid again. But anyways, I finished it. I'm happy it's done, but I'm a little disappointed because, you know, if this is the last Mass Effect we get because of the poor reception of it, I'm kind of bummed because I feel like they could do some really cool stuff. Obviously, they set it up for a sequel. That shouldn't surprise anybody. They set it up for DLC. They could do one or the other. They could wrap it up in DLC and say this is the end of Andromeda, or they could do a little bit of DLC and then do a sequel. I think there will be DLC no matter what, but I'm kind of excited to see where it goes next because I don't know about you, but I kind of like Ryder. She's really cool.
She's growing on me. I really loved Shepard, and I loved the like just I am a total badass and I am, you know, N7's last hope and I know what's going on, and that whole just like kick-ass persona was really just appealed to me, and that was the kind of character I wanted to play. So for me, the character of Ryder was a stretch because he or she doesn't really matter how you play them, but it seems like, and I think we're both playing female Ryders, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure if the male Ryder version is the same, but basically I feel like she's the like WTF do I do now? Like I don't the total new system. I was planning on following the Pathfinder, not being the Pathfinder. Like she's got this kind of like weird, quirky sense of humor, which I do love, but it just seems like she's this like fly by the seat of her pants kind of like, I don't know, YOLO, let's just try it, see how it goes, guys. Kind of a character, as opposed to like Shepard, who was like, we're going to do this, then we're going to attack this, and then we're going to take the Reapers on over here, and then we're going to save this race over here, and like very decisive and in control, and Commander Shepard was a well-deserved title. So I feel like for Ryder, she's the Pathfinder, I guess, is also a very well-deserved title because she's trying to find her own path at the same time as she's trying to lead the human race. And that was a character choice that took a while for me to kind of wrap my head around. And I think that's the story of Mass Effect Andromeda for me, just as a whole, is like you go from this like badass character to this like not so badass character. And I was not prepared for that shift because I didn't spoil anything for myself ahead of time, right? So I had no idea how this game was going to play out, and it wasn't what I expected, so it's taken a while for me to kind of warm to it.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think I've been, whenever I get into a game, I subscribe to the subreddit, I read people's posts, I watch their GIFs, their shit posts. I hate shit posts. I hate that there's a word for what people are doing on the internet like that. Anyways, it's the original trilogy, I think, hurts this more than it helps, you know, with Mass Effect Andromeda. And when you think about the old characters in the original trilogy, and they even slap it on pretty thick at the beginning of Mass Effect, where you literally get voice acting from a past character. One of my favorite characters from the original trilogy kind of pops up in a very meaningful way, you know, via voice.
When is that?
Very early on in the game, they're voice messages. So after you unlock the first sort of section of memories, you go in.
Oh, in the office. In the office, yeah. Okay, I know. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and I thought that was really, really well done, but I think also kind of held the game back because you're constantly thinking, well, man, I remember that character, but then I have PB over here, like snot running down her
Oh
nose,
my
being all,
god, I
let's
hate
go.
her. That's the character that I don't like. You just,
I like her.
I had forgotten about her. You just, yeah, I literally, I keep her in the corner and I don't talk to her, and I just totally, I don't take her on any missions. I don't do anything with her. She's annoying. She's the worst. I totally forgot she was even in my game. That is how much I've ignored her. So,
So I'll make my case
that's
for
my
PB.
one character.
See, I like PB. BioWare has this tendency to make these characters that are like silly and chaotic, and it's 1 or 0 for me. Like I either love them or I hate them. And in Dragon Age Inquisition, there was the silly, chaotic character. Sarah, I think her name was, and she was like an elven rogue that was always playing tricks on people. Hated her guts. I had to do one quest with her for a loyalty mission, this close to Draken her. No, not Draken her.
Rexiner.
Thank you. They're same to me? I don't know.
Oh!
Anyways, people are going to be writing in like, man, Krogan are the best.
Your Krogan hate is off the charts, man.
I like Krogan now. I think Drac has really, there's a moment in Drac's loyalty mission that I think saved the entire, and you know what? I cured the genophage. So you know what? I'm allowed to say that. No.
At least you did one good thing for the Krogan.
I did one good thing for the Krogan race. I'm not no Solarian. Right? I saved the Krogan race. But I think I like PB. I don't know. She just gels with the way I'm playing my rider, which is the silly, goofy, gets shit done, but loves to make a good joke and swear and spit in the bad guy's face. And I think PB fits in well with the way I'm playing because I'm really just out for adventure, out to discover new remnant tech, and she fits really well. And her and Jal have some really good, back and forth dialogue in the Nomad, which I
really, because I found that I've been taking him and Liam on all of my missions because their back and forth I find to be very entertaining, and it's also like giving you all this like history and insight into the culture and stuff. So.
Yeah, Liam's interest, and again, like early on in the game, Liam's interest in Jal is probably one of the funnier moments in the game. Actually,
Did you
Liam,
lock in on them in the armor thing too, or was that just because I'm the only one that I'm like romancing at all is Liam? I thought that was just special for me, but no, everyone sees that.
Everyone sees that. They weren't just paying you a special treat, which I thought it was interesting because they are buck naked in that shot. They don't imply it, but then at the very end you see, I think, like,
well, Jaw walks away and he's got little, you get alien butt, but Liam's wearing pants.
And you got to work for the Liam butt. So yeah, that happened to me, and their dynamic together, they're always found in the break room. They're so cute. They're adorable. Liam, Jal, Leal is what we'll call them. I think all the characters are just really well put together, and there's someone there for everyone. And I think, for every character that I love and you hate, like there's other characters that fill those roles for us. It's not one of those games where you despise a majority of them and you always go with the same two. I found myself mixing it up, bringing Cora in, bringing Vetra in. I started to bring her in a lot more near the end game because I felt like I was kind of ignoring her. Had nothing to.
She's the Turian, right?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's but that's the thing. I don't know if you feel this way, and I don't want to break the glass for anyone listening, but do you feel like they just took the original trilogy characters and said, all right, we need an Asari, we need a Turian.
Yeah.
The only thing they do was a Solarian. They put two.
Well, the Solarian is the pilot, right?
Yeah, and he's kind of similar to Morden in that he's kind of neurotic and talks really fast, but it's still not as good. But he does have his moments. But I just feel like they could have just taken a step sideways and not put themselves up for comparison. I don't know why they set themselves up for that.
I completely agree. I mean, I know that some of the personalities are maybe switched between characters and stuff, like, you don't necessarily have the exact Liara clone and, the exact, I'm totally blanking on his name now, but the Krogan that you get if you killed Rex.
I should know this.
Yeah, you should know this. But they haven't cloned those characters. They've moved the personalities around into different species and stuff. But I agree with you. It's still the same basic kind of mix, which in a way makes sense because, and also too, if you did the Mass Effect 3 DLC, I can't remember which DLC it was now, but it was the one where you go to the Prothean place and then you actually get the Prothean to accompany you. And so that's pretty much Jal, right? Like the crew almost matches up one for one with like your species makeup on your ship. So I agree. There's comparisons to be made there, and they could have maybe made it, I don't know how you make it different, even because, you know, even if you say they were on the human ark and the whole crew should be human, then it's like, yeah, but then they're going to pick up these, which is exactly what happens. They pick up a couple of alien species on the way. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that you wouldn't have, you know, like a whole bunch of Turians, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah.
It makes sense story-wise, and I'm not necessarily knocking the game about it. And this is how much I enjoyed the game, is that I'm finding these little things. I know people out there are finding these huge, immense things to complain about, but for me, I just felt like I enjoyed my time with it. I enjoyed the characters. And the story, like, just because the story isn't as good as the original trilogy, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like story. I would kind of put this on par with Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 1 had a pretty generic story, you know, like bad guy's bad. He's going to take you all out with this weird giant army of bad guys. And then at the end, it turns out, oh, he was a bad guy being controlled by another bad guy, and the bad guys are coming in the sequel. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not saying it's a direct comparison, but Mass Effect 1's story isn't amazing. Mm-hmm. When everybody thinks about Mass Effect trilogy, they think about Mass Effect 2.
And 2 and 3, yeah.
This isn't 2 or 3, but this is a solid start to what could be a really good trilogy in a universe that's acknowledged and respects the original trilogy, but has moved on from it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if they got to a point where they could figure out a way to merge the two again, they could. Because, like I said last week, 600 years is a long time for shit to happen in the Milky Way galaxy. Mm-hmm. And I think they could have a lot of fun with that. So I want them to do more. And I want you to finish it, because I would really like to talk about, you know, there's some moments at the end that are, I think, worth, it doesn't require like a huge long conversation that we've already had, but it's a short conversation that I think is worth having because of the way they tied this one up as well as they did with the baggage they were carrying, you know, that is the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. I think they did their darndest, and they did a great job, and it's worth playing if you can kind of forgive the little quirks that do pop up. There's some bugs. There's some weird facial animations that they're trying to fix. You know, someone on Twitter was mentioning some Mass Effect multiplayer crashes. I haven't experienced that, but I guess it's kind of widespread. So there are some technical issues that people are dealing with, but
yeah, and speaking of technical issues, it's something that I've just had to accept because I bought the PC version and my PC basically just cannot handle the game. So I had to turn basically all my settings down. But even before I did that, have you ever noticed, and maybe it's just something to do with my computer or processor or something, but even when I had the kind of graphics set a little bit higher, all of my characters look like they have freaking glow sticks in their mouths. Have you ever noticed that? They look like freaking 90s raver kids with glow sticks on the roof of their mouths.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's really freaking weird, dude.
And that's the thing, is I have a decent computer still that is able to run newer games, and that's the other technical side of this. I don't know whether it's not optimized well or if it's just too beefy a game maybe they aim too high for the hardware. I don't know. It just feels like the Frostbite engine that they're running on, that all EA games are made on now, it's impossible to run it buttery smooth. It's like a feature of the engine that it just has these hiccups that are really annoying. I experienced it in Battlefield. I experienced it in Inquisition, and now again in Andromeda. And I've kind of just come to accept the fact that this engine isn't as smooth as I would like it to be.
Eric in the chat room says, in the future you brush your teeth with glowy space toothpaste. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. All problem solved. But yeah, I mean, like, and Dun in the chat room is also saying, I think that's your computer problem, and it probably is. But it's one of those things that I was just like, that started happening, and I mean, I've had all kinds of problems with like crashes and stuff, just like has been glitchy, and like the longer I play, I can usually play for about 2 to 3 hours before my computer just goes, okay, shablet, done, we're not playing this game anymore. Then I have to restart and then load everything back up, and then I can play for another couple hours. So I know my computer, huh?
Well, I was gonna say, I think there's a memory leak in the game because my RAM, I only have 8 gigs of RAM, and this game is serious about having 16 gigs because I always find that if I play for too long and I quit the game, the application will hang, and if I don't actually force quit it in Task Manager, it'll count towards my hours, and I'm pretty crazy about that. So I've noticed that the game has some technical issues, and I think it's a memory thing. I have actually, well, I beat it, so it doesn't matter now, but I was contemplating picking up some extra memory for the computer just to see if that would help, because I know it always utilizes as much memory as possible, but it's always capped to a way that just is kind of, I don't know, maybe to fix it, the recommended specs do say 16. So.
Yeah, and my computer is 8, so that might be the kind of difference maker there, but yeah, anyways, I mean, I have had my fair share of glitches with this game, and I just kind of turned all the settings down and just accepted the fact that, you know, I'm not going to have the perfect Mass Effect visual experience, and that's just excuse me, an issue with my hardware. And so like once I kind of got past that, I was just like, okay, now I'm just going to try the experience. And I think probably from what you said with the whole planet that I picked being a little boring, maybe I picked the wrong planet. I thought it would be a lot more interesting from the description, because it says like it was the tech hub of the Angora. So
the frozen place?
Yeah, the frozen place was supposed to be like their tech library world before everything bad happened.
That's the well, yeah, it's their home world, but it's the resistance base. The other one that you go to is the forest or the jungle. Have you been to the jungle yet?
No, I haven't been there yet.
So the jungle one is like sort of they have a base there. It's a smaller area, and you'll get through it very quickly. That's the other thing. You kind of
Oh wait, yeah. I've been there, but then that place sends you to one of two places, and so those two worlds are various. Like there's one that's like their original home world, and then there's one that was like their tech hub. And so I went to the tech hub because I thought that would be super cool, and then it turned out to be covered in ice and not so cool. So it was super cool.
It's like, how do I get a refund on my hotel? Like, this is the worst. I need to fire my travel agent. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah. So, but anyways, we've talked Mass Effect Andromeda to death, I think, until I get to the point where we can have a discussion about the ending, which will probably be a couple weeks from now. I am enjoying the game. I've been playing a couple of other things in the meantime, but I do intend to keep going back to Mass Effect. So look for that probably a few weeks down the road. But until then, we have a couple of games that we picked up that are new this week. So Ryan, you played something that I'm interested in, but I haven't gotten my hands on yet. What did you think about Outlast 2?
So it's hard to tell how far I am into Outlast 2. I feel like it's a bigger game than I'm giving it credit for. I've played about 3 hours, and surprisingly, I'm enjoying it. I usually don't, gel well with scary games, like especially games that are out to scare you. And I think this is the difference between Outlast 2 and Outlast 1. And you totally called it, Jocelyn, because I was like skeptical about whether you were right and that it would be less scary. It is less scary than Outlast 1, because I think Outlast
Well, it's a town instead of an insane asylum, right? So you have that like outside like space, and I'm finding, because I mean, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but I'm playing What Remains of Edith Finch, and it's scary because it's very Gone Home like, and it's set in a house, and you basically explore the house, and it feels so like claustrophobic, and like there's piles of boxes and books and narrow hallways that you have to like squeeze through and stuff, and it's that claustrophobic feeling that makes any scary game that little bit more scary. Yeah. And Outlast 2 doesn't have that, right?
No, I mean, the majority of the locations that I've been to right now, you're right, are like towns. Reminds me a lot of Resident Evil 4. These a lot of shacks, a lot of farms, corn. Game's a big fan of corn, which is awesome. And it's still, don't get me wrong, it's still scary, but a good scary, a good tension. There's not a lot of jump scares that I've seen so far, which is nice.
I'm trying to remember,
And
what's the last game that you said that there weren't a lot of jump scares in, and I was... I can't remember. There was one specific game, and you were like, there's not a lot of jump scares, and then there was a huge jump scare within the first, like...
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, yes! You're like, oh yeah, there's not a lot of jump scares, and then there's a huge jump scare in the first, like, 10 minutes. I'm like, you son of a bitch!
But there... Okay, so to avoid that scenario again, in the first 10 minutes, there's one jump scare, and then after that, there are no more setup jump scares.
All right.
It's all out there on the table. But the game is still scary, and there might be, an opportunity for jump scares to happen, but they're not, so far, they're not orchestrated by the game. They're not set up to scare you. They just sort of happen. Because there are bigger environments. Basically how the game breaks down is there's a lot more story to it. In the first one, I felt like your character never talked. He would just heavy breathe, which is scary on its own. Because,
Yeah.
man, you're not mute. You're going to swear some swears, Some scary shit happening around. In this one, your character has a...
swear some swears.
In this one, your character does have a voice. It's fully voiced, which is nice. And I think that kind of brings you down a bit in terms of the scare factor. When your character feels alive.
Well, because then it's not you, right? Because it was first person in the first game, right? In Outlast. So, I mean, when you are in a first person view and the only thing that you've got is heavy breathing, sometimes it's even hard to tell the gender of heavy breathing. So it's really easy for basically everyone to identify with. And so when you're in that kind of a space, it's first person and you feel like it's you. That's so much scarier than even if you're first person and you've got somebody else's like inner monologue or something. You're just like, okay, well, I'm playing as reporter dude X in Outlast 2 and that stuff is happening to him, not me. And there's that separation, and you don't get that separation if you're just like crazy heavy breather person.
Yeah, you're playing as Blake. You are sort of dropped into this environment that you are investigating. So you're not even a fish out of water. You know where you are. You know what you're doing. You're there for a reason. And basically your girlfriend, I think your wife, gets kidnapped, and then you have to find her through a silly amount of antics that'll just happen. I don't know. You have no luck, and I think that's why I'm actually really interested in continuing to play it and finishing it, because the story is interesting. I'm invested in the characters, and the scary factor isn't punishing. It's there. There's a lot of tension. So far, the game likes to throw at you like these very creepy environments to slowly walk through, and then there are these environments that are more arena-based, where you have to sneak around, get away from enemies, and complete a task, and basically find your way through the maze from point A to point B while having these people try to find you. And that's where the tension comes in, and it gets very scary. But I felt like I was playing on normal. And
that feels like Dead by Daylight kind of scary.
Yeah.
Where,
Exactly.
Except, I mean, obviously you're probably going to be going up against their AI enemies, right? Not real people enemies. So like it takes that, or it gives you a little bit more of predictability potentially. But yeah, that's what that reminds me of, the idea of an arena and then trying to sneak around and get something done.
That's a very good way to put it, because I feel like
Which is a game I loved.
Yeah, and I think you'll dig this because it's AI. You feel like, well, if I run away long enough and the music dies down and I hide in this barrel, I know they're not going to check in the barrel because they're AI.
Yeah.
He didn't see. If he saw me, he'd be like screaming bloody. Well, everyone's crazy in the game, and that's the beauty of this game. It's like, this is a minor spoiler, but there are not crazy people in this game that you come across and you interact with, and that's awesome, because in the first Outlast, if you came across someone, they either wanted to murder you or like, flop around in front of you and show off their wing wang or whatever. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
In this, it's a little more. It feels a little more grounded. Like, it's not supernatural, which in the first game it felt very supernatural, and I only played the first couple hours. of the first one. But in Outlast 2, it feels like so far, it's very grounded in realism and like it's terrible things that are happening around you, but it still feels like those terrible things could happen. This would make a very good horror movie if this was just a movie. It's a good premise, which is nice. I remember saying about Until Dawn, it was probably my favorite horror movie I've ever seen. This is up there as well, especially since it's interactive. I feel like you could translate it very easily to a movie. But a couple trigger warnings for folks. It's very gruesome. There's a lot of implied stuff, and there's a lot of shown stuff that is very kind of like, yeah, I don't know if we want to get into like trigger warnings or something, but there's some stuff in this game that is very just and there's some religion
hard to
in there
watch
as well. Not hard to watch, just hard to be around and hard to sort of interact with, and your character agrees with you. He is very against what's happening around him. So I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, if
it's not for everybody, maybe
certainly not.
Do a little research before you pick up this title.
Definitely do some research. There's just some things that happen in the game that so far that I feel like would turn a lot of people away from it. But it is a horror title, so you kind of have to expect there's going to be, some blood, some gore. But there's just some stuff of like the sexual nature and like very like hardcore religious side as well, where basically all the enemies are like hardcore Christian fanatics, which is, power to them for choosing that, because right now, like, doing anything like that is really ballsy. And this isn't a game like I think that's trying to send a message. I think it's just this is what they chose to tell their story. It's really weird these days. You don't see it very much, and it plays well to the story. Like it plays very well, and it's an interesting story. And there are crazy people that use religion to do some really bad things, and this is a game that kind of like puts a light on that. And I don't know, it's both refreshing and both a little creepy at the same time. So yeah, do some research, check it out. But I think, Jocelyn, that you would dig it, because honestly, if you really love Dead by Daylight, you're going to be getting that feeling in this game.
Right. So it's like that kind of scare. And I loved Until Dawn. And I think if it wasn't my game of the year, but I think it was, it was very, very close to my game of the year. I guess, well, that was what, 2014, 2015? Anyways, it was a fantastic title, and it was a horror game, right? It was scary and had a lot of jump scares, and I did a full playthrough, and it was just a great experience for me, and which is something I didn't think that I would enjoy, because, I tend to not play horror games, because just the action of having to move forward in a horror game, I usually can't wrap my head around, which is actually, it was hard for me to get over, even with the title that I'm playing that isn't quite even that much of a horror game. It's very gone homey, like I mentioned earlier, and that is What Remains of Edith Finch. And basically, you play, it's a first-person view, and you are, I'm gonna say, like, PSA, starting this game, Ryan, if you're gonna play this game, your controls are you play with a controller, and it's your sticks and your right trigger. Right trigger is key, people, because you start the game, and it's a first-person view, and you're sitting on a boat, and the boat is taking you to the island. So you've got a journal in your lap, and when you look down at the journal, there's like a little icon that appears that looks like a journal. So it basically looks like you're supposed to read the journal. So I figured that out. But then I was like looking all around, and I tried pushing what I thought was all the buttons, and I couldn't get anything to happen. I was looking at the journal, pushing all the buttons. Then I pushed like the start button on my controller, and it opened the like save, pause, options menu. But that options menu looks exactly like the inside of her journal. So I thought it was showing me where the menu was.
Oh, really?
And basically you have to hit the right trigger to start actually reading the girl's journal, which starts the game. But I was sitting there riding the freaking boat for literally 10 minutes. I was like, what is this, Boat Simulator 2017? Like, this is the slowest start to a video game I've ever seen in my life. Like, I get that you're trying to set the mood and tell a story, and this isn't like a super action title, but like, I get it. I'm on a boat. Can we move on now? and it turns out I'm just an idiot. But when you go in to check the controls, like, it doesn't even tell you. There's no tutorial. It doesn't tell you what the keys are. It doesn't tell you any of that. So I was just sitting there waiting for something to happen on this boat. And it turns out I was supposed to be reading the journal. So reading the journal starts the game. And to do that, you use the right trigger. So there you go.
So key information, right trigger. Also, according to Steam, must play with a strongly recommended you play with a controller. So
yes, I don't know how you would play otherwise, because you have your move, your look, and then your interact button. So it works really well with a controller. And Steam warned me before I bought it that I needed a controller.
So this is what the kids like to call a walking simulator.
Basically,
right?
yeah.
Okay, which is fine. And again,
it's like a guided story experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love those games. They're one of my favorite games to play. Just sit back, relax. You're getting a story. You're getting nice visuals. The game reminds me a lot of a game I played, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which was a similar title. Where you're just walking around.
Yeah, I picked that up actually.
Good.
Because I was looking at, I think it was like similar games or recommended for you or something like that, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, I don't remember hearing about this, and so I apologize if you talked about it on the show, Ryan, but I was like, I don't really remember hearing about this, and but it seems like something I would like because I have been enjoying these types of games, so I picked that one up too, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. But yeah, it's very, very similar. It's similar, like I said, to Gone Home in that you play a young woman, I think in Edith Finch, you're 17, and you come back to an abandoned house, except for this time you are fully aware of not necessarily what happened to your family, but they're all dead. So your whole kind of, I guess, journey is discovering what happened to your family. And it's done in this really cool way because basically your mother kept you totally sheltered, so you're trying to find out your kind of ancestors' stories, and it's done in a really cool way where I don't actually think so far I've had the same experience with a story. So you kind of find the details of the story, and then it takes you into a different style of game. So there's without saying too much or being too spoilery, because it is an experience, there's one of them is a little girl's fever dream. There's an another one that kind of takes you into a comic book, which is really cool. So it's voiced over by this really creepy guy because he's the comic book narrator who's the creepy pumpkin king, and so it's got this really creepy voiceover narrative, and then some of the comic pages are just the image, and then some of them are actually interactable, so you have to move the character through, and it it'll move you to the next panel to kind of show you where you should be heading in that room to kind of keep the story going, and it happens in the house where you are, so there's that extra kind of level of creepiness. And at the end of each of these little interactable story bits that so far have all been different, that the character you're playing is going to die. So there's this kind of because they're all about her family, and her family's all dead. So all of these are the stories of their deaths. So there's this extra, it's not necessarily it's not a horror game, but it's not a nice game either. It's kind of like you mentioned with Outlast 2, it's got this kind of constant tension and this constant feeling of impending doom on you and the other characters. And so I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to spoil the experience for anyone. I haven't 100% finished it. I think I'm only about halfway through. But basically, as soon as you find or solve, or however you want to say it, the story of one of your ancestors, you've got a family tree in your journal, and you do a little sketch of them. So that's how that part of the story's done. And you basically navigate your way through this really creepy and Frankenstein-y pieced together from a whole bunch of other houses kind of house. And you just work your way through the house and find the stories of all your ancestors, and then something happens. But I haven't finished it, so I don't know what the something is. But I have a pretty good idea of where it's heading. And I think that's going to be a really cool wrap up to the story. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. It's I think I've played 2 hours of it so far. And my big, like, I play very slowly because whenever there's a lot of tension, I'm expecting jump scares. And so far, I don't actually think there have been any. Like, and even like in Gone Home had the jump scares of like the perfectly timed thunder, you know, like, or like the TV turning on randomly and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think I've had any of that so far in What Remains of Edith Finch. So but it's still, there's just that constant feeling of like edge of your seat kind of uncomfortableness that it makes it not a horror game. Like I said, it's not a horror game. It's not a crazy, at least so far, like crazy stabby death, although I don't know how everybody dies, so that I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem to be horror-ish. It's more just like suspenseful is a really good word for it. And so I play those games really slowly because I'm always waiting for the jump scare. So I'm kind of like edging my way through the house. Like, just because it hasn't happened in 2 hours doesn't mean it won't happen.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, exactly. They lull you into a false sense of security, and that's how they get you.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, because honestly, it looks like one of those games that is right up my alley in terms
I think you'd enjoy it.
I mean, I liked Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, and that's probably one of the better produced bad walking simulator type games. And I mean, I'm not trying to be reductive by calling it a walking simulator. It's just that seems. What did you coined it better? What did you say it was? The genre is a guided experience.
Yeah, it's a guided storytelling.
Guided storytelling. So of those games, I liked what is probably considered not one of the great ones, and like Vanishing Ethan Carter, Gone Home. I'm looking forward to Gone Home's new one.
The Park is another one. Although I would say The Park is much more of a horror game than some of these ones, but
sure. So,
that is jump scary and terrifying.
Yeah, I'm not big on. I'm a huge fan of zombies, and I haven't gone to play Resident Evil 7. And now that I'm thinking I've been able to handle Outlast 2, I might be able to go play Resident Evil 7. But I guess the difference is there's no combat in Outlast. So, anyways, I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I will I'll have to pick it up, because honestly, it looks like a much needed break from the games I've been playing. It's either open world or shit your pants scary.
I was gonna say it's still super suspenseful, but yeah, it's definitely not jump scary. So it's been a really cool, really interesting experience, and another one of these kind of like bite-sized games. I expect that it'll probably take me, if I wasn't such a giant scaredy cat, and if I actually played through at a normal speed, then there's probably 3 to 4 hours of content in there, I think. But I also think it's a lot, like, basically, if you played Firewatch, then this is going to be a, like, oh my god, they're giving me so much for my money, this is an amazing investment. It's like, it's a $20 game, there's 3 to 4 hours worth of content, but it's actually interesting content. It's not Firewatch, so...
I liked Firewatch.
Firewatch is so freaking stupid.
Yeah, I remember that episode. I think I blocked it out. That was fun.
But anyways, so but it's around a $20 title on Steam, and I highly recommend it, because it's not only like cool storytelling, but there's a whole bunch of different mechanics kind of hidden in it. So it's a really cool way of kind of exploring this story, and it's a cool story in and of itself. So we wanted to take a second here and thank our new patron, Yuri. Thank you so much for supporting us. You can go to patreon.com/thegamersin. Supporting us over on Patreon allows us to bring you all kinds of cool extras like Game Night and Inside the Game, which is our deep dive into the main storyline of some of your favorite titles. And I think we're quite a ways away from our Inside the Game, but it's going to be a whole extra episode of TGI content every month. So it is a fairly significant goal. But if you guys want to help support us and get us closer to that, you can go to patreon.com/thegamersin. Again, thank you so much to Yuri, our new patron of the week. That brings us to our topic of the week this week, or I guess this is more maybe news. I don't know. It could get a little topicy. Anyways, we are talking about Heroes 2.0. Heroes 2.0 launched yesterday to much fanfare. They gave out loot boxes. There's a mega bundle. There's new currencies. There's Genji. There's Diva. There's all kinds of things. Ryan, What was your 2.0 experience like? Because I feel like we should probably start with the good, and I feel like I'm going to be a little bit more of a downer here, so...
All right. I got in. I got my 5. Everyone gets 5 boxes.
Yeah.
I got my 15 epic and my 1 veteran for playing, I don't know, a good amount of heroes. I'm by no means like a diehard, but I've played enough, I think, to get to a specific level. I think I'm level like 150 when I logged in.
So we're very, very close then, because I think I was 167, and I think I ended up with 5, and then maybe 16 or 17 and 1. So I had like maybe 1 or 2 more epic chests than you did, but otherwise very, very close.
I opened them all, and the thing is, like, you're never gonna come across for free this amount of loot boxes again, in this sort of just here you go, a bunch of free stuff. And I opened them all, and it felt like opening them all, it felt kind of weirdly like I was doing it wrong. You know, I felt like I was doing it wrong because I'd open them and I'd be like, this all sounds great, but at the same time, it doesn't sound great at all, because it's like you got a couple of voice liners, a couple skins, and I'd re-roll a couple. I don't know. I felt like I had to, like, I went to Reddit and they're like, oh, here's what you need to do to know how to re-roll, and started looking at that. And I don't know. My suggestion to folks, if they haven't opened their boxes yet, is just go in, open them, and unless you get a crap roll on an epic or a veteran chest, re-roll. But I was doing some re-rolling, and I felt like, I don't know, it wasn't as fun. It
Fair enough.
Seems like there's a ton of items, a ton of cosmetic items, like tags. I'm never going to use those emotes in chat.
So
I don't think I ever will.
This is my problem, I guess, is basically they took a very high quality cosmetic, and it had a high quality price tag tied to it. But they were very upfront about the price tag, and now they're a little bit cheaper, I think. But basically, like, their bundles are just under $10 now, and a bundle will basically give you a skin with the 3 color variants that you would have earned by leveling a hero previously. So their pricing is approximately the same, assuming that it's featured. If it's not featured, there's no way to actually directly buy your things, which is, to me, problem number 2. But so they went from these very high quality and high priced cosmetic items to watering down the pool with all of this crap. And it's so, like, every other little, like, nickel and dimey kind of thing. Like, Overwatch does it too, and I don't like it in Overwatch, and Smite has it too, and I don't like it in Smite. And it's just, so you can now get voice lines for heroes, you can get announcer packs, you can get skins, mounts, and heroes, which are good. Yeah. But then you can get tags and banners and emotes for chat, which are basically just like Twitch emotes if you sub to somebody's channel. And all of these are just these little piecemealy things that basically take up space in loot boxes and make you spend more money, because then the only way to directly buy the things that you need, and this is where the 3 currencies come in, is you can buy it for real dollars, which is a thing that I like to do. I like to say, I know this is expensive, but here's my $10 because I really want that specific Diablo kaiju skin. The only way you can directly buy it with money now is if it happens to be featured. And there's no guarantee of, like, when things are going to be featured, or if it's on a rotation like the heroes are, and, you know, like, when that might possibly come up again. So otherwise, the way to get the stuff that you want, or to, I can't remember what they called it on stream, but it was some sort of target. It's like, Thrall's attacking me. So basically, they're, yeah, sorry, totally lost my train of thought because of the Thrall attack. But yeah, sorry, the way to target a specific item that you want is to basically buy enough loot boxes that you get duplicates that you can then shard things, and the shards are then what you use to go and buy stuff. So instead of me being able to spend $10 on the specific thing that I want, I have to spend $10 on loot boxes, hope I get duplicates, and hope that those duplicates are worth enough to then purchase the thing I want. And if they're not, I have to spend more money to get more loot boxes, and on and on and on. And I also can't, or at least I haven't been able to find the way to, like, say I get a whole lot of shit that I'm never going to use, like banners and announcer packs and all that kind of stuff. There's no way for me to go into my collection and say, I don't want this, turn it into shards so I can go buy something I do want. You can only get that currency from duplicates. So that's what that's what just feels so bad.
Yeah, they've locked, so from, again, and this is if you guys want if our listeners want the high end, we know exactly what we're talking about type stuff. Not that we don't know what we're talking about. I think we have a good understanding of Heroes 2.0. We've had 3 weeks to really dig into it. But Into the Nexus, Core, they've both done or will be doing episodes about the launch of Heroes 2.0, and they'll have tons of information. They'll get down and dirty on it. But for us, I think that you're right. Like, I think you can't disenchant items and get shards, and the only way to buy items outside of the featured list is with those shards. So say you're like me, haven't played in 3 months, and there's a bunch of heroes that came out. I can buy the hero, but I can't buy
their cosmetic
their cosmetic stuff, and say I really want that skin. I can't do that. But before, as far as I know, you could buy it as a bundle in the first 2 weeks, but then afterwards you would have to buy it. You could still buy it separately. But then there's a trade-off. There's a chance that you might get a skin that you really liked but didn't feel like buying in the loot box. And I've actually had that happen where
that's true. Yeah.
It's kind of they've swapped one edition of this model from buy anything you want, which I really appreciated, over to you can buy whatever you want as long as you buy it within the featured / release window, or get it from boxes. And that's what people like. If you're playing Heroes and it launches, say Genji right now is out. It has a featured skin. If you really want Genji and the skin that Genji has at launch, buy it with your gems or your money, because if you really wanted it, you're not going to wait around opening random loot boxes. And that's not necessarily a negative. That's just a reality of the model they've chosen going forward. And if you like Genji, you're going to buy it right now. You're not going to wait 3 months unless you don't have the money, which is understandable. It happens. Heroes isn't like groceries. So I totally understand where everyone's coming from. But if you do have $15 to spend and you want to spend it on Heroes, then there's no point in waiting to see if maybe you'll get a free. But I will say, though, it feels like you're getting way more loot boxes in Heroes for the price of admission than you are in Overwatch. Because I'm pretty sure Overwatch, to buy a bunch of packs, maybe it's the same, I don't know, it just feels like you're getting more chests by buying them. I didn't buy any, but I did look at the buy screen, and it was like 14 for $10. Seems pretty good, right?
I'm not 100% sure, because I don't think I looked at buying.
It just seems it's going to take some time to get used to it, because obviously we've had this old system for 3 years.
Because it's like there's a couple of steps, right? Like you have to buy gems to then buy loot boxes, right? Like you can't just directly buy loot boxes. So yeah, I can't remember. Like I'm not sure what the exact conversion and the comparison to Overwatch is. But sure. And Dunn in the chat room saying you can buy things with gems and gold. You can't. You do have to go through it you have to go through the loot box system unless they're featured. And this is the thing. So you can buy heroes with gold, and you always have, and that's what they say when you hover over the currency. Gold is the way that you buy your actual heroes. But if you want cosmetic items, the only way to get those with gems and gold is if they're featured. Otherwise, you have to use shards. And that sucks because, I've seen a lot of people making the comparison to Hearthstone. And the thing is, with Hearthstone, I can go in and I can say, I never play Warrior. So I'm going to choose to say, I don't want any of these Warrior cards, and I'm going to take all of that currency and I'm going to put it into something that I do want. And you don't have the option to do that in Heroes. So that's the part that feels really bad, is I don't have the option to flesh out the parts of my collection that I really want. And it feels even worse because this is 2.0. So this is like they had it one way, and if you really liked the old way, now they've flipped it on its head and made it different in a way that I don't think is positive, in a way that is meant to make them more money, which, you know, Blizzard's a company and that's fine. But they've kind of taken away one thing, given you something else, so it feels even worse. If this was the only system we'd ever had, I would probably feel a lot more like I do with Overwatch, where I'm like, okay, yeah, there's the system, there's loot boxes, whatever, I don't buy them.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't be that important.
Like, for me personally, I don't feel like, and I know when new stuff's coming, so I'm on. It's not like Smite. I'm on board with Heroes in a way that each week I know what new stuff is coming, even if I don't play each week. So I'm not worried about missing out, but I am kind of worried about maybe finding a new character that I love and then finding that I can't buy any of his or her skins or cosmetics. That's kind of unfortunate. But I don't know. I like what I'm seeing. I think it rewards players more, and the Nexus 2.0 challenge that they've put out there is giving you a lot of stuff, including 10 loot boxes in the 5th week, 10 loot boxes in Heroes, and 10 in Overwatch.
You do actually have to go and complete each one of those quests, though. You can't just go into the 5th week and do the 5th week quest. You have to play all the way along. So, which, I mean, it's not a big ask. It's, I think, 5 games in a group with a friend, like 5 games, and you don't even have to win 5 games. It's just straight up play 5 games, and I'm pretty sure at least the first week, and I don't know if this is the same going all the way through, but at least the first week can even be completed against AI, which is like basically just asking you to log into the game. It's really not a big deal. Because again, you could even lose 5 games to AI and, you know, still get your quest rewards. So
yeah, they've said, and this is something a lot of people have said in the chat room and people have said on Reddit and online in general, and that when they move the system over to this very cosmetic-heavy, gem-based, non-real money system, they can reward you with the non-money and the extra, sort of cosmetics, as we've seen with this Nexus Challenge, where over the 5 weeks, you're getting a bunch of skins in both games, you know, tags and sprays and just cosmetics.
Tags and sprays are the same thing.
Well...
Oh, I see. Aren't they sprays in both? Oh, or are they tags in Heroes and sprays in Overwatch? Anyways, they're the same freaking thing. You get to paint a wall with a symbol.
Tags. We'll call it. I'm pretty sure they're called tags. You're right. I did say the same thing. But then there's also the banners.
Yeah, the banners. So
a lot of different things. And I guess me being a collector, I mean, let's talk about Amiibo for a second. Like, I'm a collector. I like to
Do you really want to talk about Amiibo?
No, I do not. A bunch just went for pre-order over the last week, and I was hoping it was not going to come up. And it didn't, because we're not going to talk about it. Because Ashley could be listening. Anyways, so when it comes to those cosmetics, if I really like a hero, like let's say I really love Sylvanas. She's one of my favorite characters in the game. I look at her related cosmetics. It's like, I kind of want a lot of those, but I can't get them because I didn't get enough free loot boxes to have enough shards to even build one skin.
Yeah, me either. I think I ended up with 400.
Yeah, I have about 400, and that's the thing. Is like, it sounds like we're complaining because we are complaining, but it's because we care about the game, and I care about the game, and I've enjoyed my time in Heroes of the Storm, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to playing, you know, this weekend and getting some games in for the Nexus Challenge, but I want to see them kind of address some of the issues people have, like Leo in the chat room is saying, like one of the biggest, Hachikumou in the chat room is saying one of the biggest requests will be sharding inventories. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff in my inventory for characters that, like Brightwing, you're amazing, but I just do not need that monkey skin. It's terrifying.
See, and I would totally craft the monkey skin just to freak Garrett out, and then every time I played with him, I'd be like, hey dude, I'm gonna Brightwing, and then at the last second, change to the monkey skin, and then we'd go into the game, and he'd have to play with the monkey.
Yeah.
I know I'm evil.
Last 3, that's the plot right there.
But the thing is, like, I agree. There is a lot of potential good here, and I hope that they do more giveaways, more events, things to give people more opportunities to get things. But I guess the problem with loot boxes is that now it's like where before you could get, you know, heroes and skins and mounts, it's like now they've added all these other extra cosmetic things that just kind of take up space and dilute the pool of cool things that you could get, and you don't have a guarantee of items that you could get. Like in Smite, for instance, it's like you buy chests and you can't get duplicates, and it shows you exactly what the things are that are still available to you in those chests. And then you open those chests and you're like, wow, that, I have 27 of 40 items and here's what I'm missing. And so I open my chest and I get randomly one of those things. Like that feels good because I know exactly what I could get. And the pool is just so big in Overwatch and in Heroes now that it feels like every chest I open, I'm just like, I don't care. And to reroll, it's so much gold.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I don't have much to spend my gold on now, but still, because I have, I think, all but a couple of the heroes. So, but anyways, I don't want to be too down on it. I don't want to be too negative because we also got a new map, which is really cool. And so I don't know if you had a chance to play on it yet, but
they did the brawl where you're all tracers, and that was
oh God. That seems that seems like that would just be the worst thing ever. But yeah, like I queued into my very first quick match yesterday and got the Hanamura map, and it's a super cool map. It's another one like Towers of Doom where you can't attack the other person's core, you attack it by completing a map objective, and it's really cool. It's really cool. And you have to basically escort the payload, and so there's like a whole bunch of team fighting and all this kind of crazy stuff going on. But yeah, I was playing with Nevermore, who is my Slaying Demons co-host, and we had a really good time, but like we were both like, where are we supposed to go? What? Why are there 3 payloads? What's going on? Like we were so lost. But it's a really cool map. It's a cool aesthetic. There's a bunch of skins to go along with it. Along with the release of Genji, he's in the game now, and Diva is coming soon, TM, I think, which for the Heroes team usually means in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I'm excited because I think Diva is going to be really cool. I'm a tank warrior player, so I'm all up there for Diva. I think she's going to be really cool. So there is a lot of neat stuff that is going on in Heroes. I think I was just I'm just a little bit jaded about the whole loot box thing because it's not my favorite thing in games. I really like the ability, and I've said this about, like, mobile games. This is another one. Like, just let me go pay for what I want. I will give you my dollars, and just, like, give me the thing. Like, I will pay for a Mario game, even if it's $15. I don't care. I'll pay for it, and then just that be it. Like, I'm very much an advocate for just let me pay once, and that be the end of it. I don't like the whole gambling of my money thing to hopefully get what I want. But
I bought well, in Overwatch, we talked about it specifically on the show. I bought about $80 worth of loot boxes for the Summer Games event, and I don't know what the skins weren't even like that amazing, but they were still like, ooh, I'm really into this game. I want to invest in it. And then after that, I was just like, I felt like, ugh, I never want to buy loot boxes again, and I kind of don't want to play the game for a while. I felt kind of burned, and I think with Heroes, I'm not going to do the same. I'm not going to put money into loot boxes. I think I'm going to treat it like a free-to-play game because that's what it is, and similar to other free-to-play games like Fire Emblem Heroes and Walking Dead No Man's Land, I'm just going to play it. I'll put some money into it to kind of like be appreciative of the fact that it is a free game and support the developers, but I'm not going to be what they call, a whale,
the whale,
in the free-to-play system. I'm not doing that, and I've seen people talking about that in the Reddit. I put like $500 into it, and I'm really enjoying myself. And it's like I lost the appeal of opening loot boxes in Overwatch because I bought a bunch, and I think I don't want that to happen in Heroes. When I hit a level, or a character level, or a player level, or whatever, or earn it from a brawl, I want to open that loot box, and man, I earned it. And I love the different ways that they're giving you chances to open loot boxes.
That's true, yeah. It does seem like there are a lot of times where you're getting a loot box, and the reason that they can do that and make it so rewarding is because they've watered down the contents. I mean, they literally couldn't do that if they were putting $10 skins in every one of those loot boxes, right? So, I mean, it does give them the opportunity to reward the community, and opening those loot boxes are, it's like opening a pack in Hearthstone or, whatever. There is that kind of instant reward and that great feeling that you get from opening that loot box. So I get that they're trying to make it so that people can get that feeling more often. because then it's incentivizes them to go drop more money. Like, I mean, you can go watch our Hearthstone Angoro card pack opening streams, and all of us went and bought another set of packs. So like it's because it's fun. So I do understand their business model. It just when they were using a business model that I really liked and respected, I hate to see them move to something like this. But you know, it's a business. They're going to make a lot more money this way. So hopefully that's good for the development of the game. And we'll just leave it at that.
Sure. I mean, it's unfortunate that almost every Blizzard game has this setup now, and you know, that's the reason with Hearthstone I would always buy the adventures but would never buy the packs, because I liked playing the adventures and getting those cards, and I would just earn my packs just through free to play. It's like I don't think I've ever straight up purchased with real money packs in Hearthstone, because I see it as the same thing as in Heroes. Like, it's not as watered down as the other games, and every time you open a pack you are getting, and there's a system that allows you to shard cards that you will never use. So I respect that completely. So it's one of the better systems that Blizzard set up. And when Heroes is using an amalgamation of all the other Blizzard take your money systems, I wonder why they left that one out, because it seems like the missing piece of the puzzle that you just really need to jam in there as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I hope we see it, because that will make it feel a little bit better when I can, you know, even though the return on some of the skins and some of the hero duplicates and stuff, I mean, I think I got a hero duplicate that was only worth 100 shards, and I was like, well, that sucks. Like, I'm going to have to get 16 duplicate heroes in order to potentially get the one coloring of the Diablo skin that I want. Like, single tier, that's shitty. But anyways, I said leave it at that, so I'm going to leave it at that, because I don't want to harp on this, because like I said, there are a lot of really cool stuff that came with Heroes 2.0. And also, we didn't even mention, but they did also do a free mega bundle for people. So if you haven't logged in, if you've never played Heroes, there really isn't a better time than now to get in, because they are giving away 20 heroes. So you can pick a support and specialist bundle, a warrior and bruiser bundle, a assassin bundle, or a flex bundle, and basically it gives you 20 heroes. The most I could get was from the assassin one. I think I got 4 because I already owned everything else, and I didn't get the duplicates, so I didn't even get those shards. But yeah, I think I got 4 assassins out of the assassin bundle. So if you've never played, or if you don't own a lot of heroes, then at least log in and make sure that you get your mega bundle, because it's free for everybody. So that is another plus to the 2.0 launch.
Agreed.
Yeah, so we have a patron ad this week. Ryan, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, this one's from Simon. Weekly News Desk is a podcast all about the geek news this week. Join your 2 knucklehead hosts, Andrew and Simon, as they keep you informed on movies, TV, video games, and books. Find them on iTunes or at weeklynews.com.
And if you'd like to visit us on the web, you can do so at gamersinpodcast.com. You can also find us on AMove TV, along with other fabulous podcasts, including The Angry Nerd, Into the Nexus, Overwatchers, The Angry Chicken, and For Azeroth. You can follow us on Twitter. You can find me, Jocelyn, at JossPlays. Ryan is at R. Murphy. And don't forget to follow the show at The Gamers In. The video versions of all our episodes can be found on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/AMoveTV. If you'd like to email the show and let us know what you think about Mass Effect, Andromeda, Outlast 2, or what remains of Edith Finch, please do so at info@gamersinpodcast.com. Please do not email us and tell me how terrible I am for not liking Heroes 2.0, because Twitter's told me that enough already. I love you guys.
I liked it. Sure. Don't do that, I guess.
Thanks for staying at the Gamers In. Remember, tune in next week. Bye, guys.